Hey, everybody, this is James Pelton. Hope you're having a wonderful Saturday. We're here with some friends, some newer people to talk about some really cool things. So we've got AJ, of course. Again, I have a running for who's been on my channel the most times. And Danny from MDB, AJ from EMP. I think you guys are probably up there. Jason from Warfi is up there as well. But AJ, great friend of the family, great friend of the channel and the family, I suppose.
Yes, no
But
doubt.
we've been through a lot, the two of us. So then we got a couple new faces. Well, I think Jake, I had an AMA with you quite a while ago, I believe. But yeah, so got some new faces, some familiar faces. So excited to talk through everything that's going on. What I need from you in the audience, please hit the like button as we're getting started. If you have questions or if you have things you want to discuss, you just want to take the conversation in certain directions, feel free, and we will do that as time permits and as we can. Right off the bat, I want to say welcome to Alexandra. Thank you for joining the community. Appreciate all you guys. Again, the reason I come on Saturday, a lot of people like to take Saturdays off, but not me, because I like coming on, and it's for the community. It's for the project founders in the community. So appreciate all you guys being here. So let's start with introductions. AJ, we can make yours very brief because we've talked with you so much. But how about Jake and Machu? A name, Machu? Machu?
That's not bad, Machu. Yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty good, James.
You tried to help me out. Americans terrible with names. I was telling AJ, thank you, AJ. I can do that. Jake is about the extent of my naming abilities. So let's go ahead and start with introductions. Jake, maybe we'll start with you, and then we'll do Machu, and then we'll go on from there.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having us on again. Always a pleasure to sit down with y'all. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jake. I'm the acting CEO of DexFinance. Been around for about 2 years or so now. Started with the old reflection tokens. We launched a seniorage model. A couple claims to fame that never had the only product protocol that's never lost peg in that system. Second highest all-time bonded value on Olympus Pro. And we just recently launched our DEX Vaults, really interesting product. But happy to be here working with Machu and AJ now, and we got some really exciting new stuff coming up that kind of blows the rest of it away.
Very cool. Yeah, we probably could have an AMA just with DexFinance. It's been a while, so maybe we should do that at some point.
Sure.
Thank you for hopping on. How about you, Machu?
Yeah, hey James. Hey everybody watching. My name is Machu. I'm from L1X, a brand new layer 1 blockchain launching in about August. Currently building now, and I'm the Chief Growth Officer from L1X, and I'm really excited to be on here. Happy to be here with Jake and AJ and discuss some exciting news about what we're doing with them.
Awesome. Well, yeah, appreciate all you guys being here, and welcome all the people hopping on a little bit late here. Welcome again. Please hit like and ask questions as we go. We got Green Llama and Cheeseburger, David. Good to see all you guys. I do feel like you're my friends and family. So love seeing you, Jonathan. Crypto Babe is here. Good to see you, Tim. Appreciate all you guys. So I'll open this up to whichever of you three think would be most qualified. You can all kind of look at each other and point. But what are we talking about here today? What is going on? What is this about here today?
Totally. So I'll start off, James, again, brother. Always happy to be here, and yes, bro, I feel like I am a friend of the family. You've yet to invite me over for dinner, but I won't take that personal. I know there's about 3,000 miles between us. But yeah, brother. So I'm happy to be here again. Always a pleasure. Much love to you and your community. And so we have some very big news to share. With in regards to EMP and our community and the opportunity that we have been able to get through L1X and now working with Jake from DexFinance as well. So we have a lot going on at EMP. We can do a whole nother AMA about that directly, but today is about L1X and this really amazing partnership that we've been able to secure with L1X. So to give a little bit of background, Machu was a very amazing advisor in our protocol. He was part of our EMP army, which is essentially an extension of our team. And he took a position with L1X earlier last year. And he said, listen, AJ, I took a new position and you guys got to check this out. This is an incredible, new blockchain that has some incredible potential and some really big claims. But we think that these claims may actually be something that we can deliver on. So because of our relationship, I was able to look into the code of L1X, really do a deep dive on what they're claiming they can do. And James, let me tell you, brother, I was blown away. So again, we're going to get into all that today. A lot of it is big claims, but I do feel that L1X can deliver on everything that they say they can. And so we ran a whitelist through our own community to try to get people involved in the seed round of L1X. And, through that relationship, I put together a proposal, again, with Machu and Jake, on actually putting together an exchange that would be built on top of L1X. And we're happy to announce within the last few days, we were awarded the launch DEX contract of L1X. So not only are we building a DEX on L1X because of this amazing new technology that L1X provides, but we will be the launch DEX as well. So again, consider, PancakeSwap to BNB or Uniswap to ETH. We will be the DEX to L1X. So all that being said, I really want to get Machu to lay the groundwork for us. And so, L1X is really providing a solution for true interoperability, which is something that we've never seen before. A lot of projects have made claims that they're interoperable, but a lot of them are not. So yeah, Machu, I would love for you to give a high-level overview of what L1X is, and maybe talk about the trilemma that you guys are solving for sure.
Yeah, thanks, AJ. Thank you. Look, L1X is the very first blockchain to deliver interoperability, decentralization, security, and scalability all in the one chain without compromising any of them. Now, I know it's a massive claim, and I know that others have claimed this before, but we're already in testnet stage. And for example, and you can jump onto a testnet and utilize the interoperability. And the reason why we've come forward with those features and really want to bring that to market is a few years ago, Kevin Coutinho, our founder, he started building with blockchain and had those issues as a developer and really wanted to solve those issues and do that with building his own layer one blockchain. He worked with the University of Western Australia here in Perth, and they came up with L1X and started to build that out. And so, for example, I'll paint a picture for you in terms of what L1X can do and will be able to do come mainnet. And I've said this before, but I think it's a great way to describe it. I think a lot of us are familiar with Binance Smart Chain. And if you're on Binance Smart Chain, if you can imagine you're on Binance Smart Chain, and Binance Smart Chain has the ability for you to be able to transfer assets between multiple chains. In fact, imagine Binance Smart Chain had the capability to transfer assets between any chain. So currently, if Binance Smart Chain was L1X, it would be able to transfer assets between Ethereum, AVAX, Matic, Phantom, Arbitrum, Optimism, and Solana. So EVM and non-EVM chains. So imagine you could do that on Binance without using a bridge at all. No need for bridges, no middleman, no third-party risk. Also imagine if you're on Binance Smart Chain that you had the ability to pay gas fees that were no more than 1 cent. And imagine Binance Smart Chain had a wallet where you could hold all the tokens from Binance Smart Chain, but also all the tokens from any chain that Binance Smart Chain was interoperable with. So Ethereum, Arbitrum, Optimism, and imagine Binance Smart Chain could build out and add any chain as it grew. So if you're on Binance Smart Chain, you would have to imagine that. But that's the user experience that come August when we launch mainnet, that the user will be able to, that's the reality of being on L1X as a user. and we're pretty excited about it.
Okay, very good. Now this is awesome. I love this. A little bit of education. I like to kind of educate people. So can you maybe, this might sound basic to us who are in crypto, but I think to a lot of my audience, they're listening there. What's the difference between a layer 1, layer 2, layer cake? I mean, what is all that? What is all this that we're talking about? Do you want to maybe explain the difference between a layer 1 and give some examples of layer 1s and layer 2 and some examples of that?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thank you, James. So a layer 1, if you can imagine, a layer 1 is almost the foundation that applications can be built upon. So the EMP and DexFinance, layer 2 applications currently built on top of Binance Smart Chain, which is the layer 1. So that's probably a really good example to explain it. And I'll explain what a bridge is as well and why we want to try and avoid bridges. So at the moment, if you're on a chain and you want to go cross-chain and you want to transfer assets, you would have to use, depending on which chain you were going to, you'd probably have to use a few different bridges. Now, if you can imagine a bridge, imagine you're playing a game of Chinese whispers or telephone, where you've got someone starts with a message and you pass it down the line to someone else, and you hope at the end that message is exactly the same as when it started. So imagine we're playing a game of telephone between 3 people. Let's say, James, you're at the beginning, you start the message, and then AJ's at the end. He's the third person. Now, you would have to trust me, the middle person, to make sure that I would take that message from James and deliver it to AJ, but also in the process that I would not corrupt or distort that message. And so there's a level that you need to trust with a bridge, because basically I hold all the power. In that middleman holds all the power. What we provide with layer 1X in terms of interoperability, we take out that middleman and we replace it with a system that is completely transparent. There's no central authority, so it's democratic and fair. And there is a receipt from James passing the message to me, and then me passing the message to AJ. So you know that the message that James passed to me is the same message that I just passed to AJ. So that is a much safer. I mean, when you look at bridges last year, there were $2 billion lost in bridge hacks. So that's just one way we're trying to make it safer for the user.
Totally. And to elaborate on that a little bit, James, a lot of other chains have made the claim of interoperability. Again, Polkadot with their parachains, or, even some of these layer 2s that are basically side chains that run alongside of, ETH mainnet. They're all, Ethereum virtual machines. Well, layer 1X is its own virtual machine. This has been code that has been developed from the ground up. That again is able to not only communicate bridgelessly, again by tokens, and as well as NFTs, which is another incredible thing we can talk about later. But they're also able to do interoperability in terms of logic. So this means that by utilizing L1X, you can have smart contracts that talk to other chains. And that is something that is truly revolutionary. I mean, it's something we've never seen. That's why I get so excited about L1X, and especially with the DEX that we're going to be building. That opens up a door that we've never seen. I mean, imagine having an exchange that is literally the most capital efficient exchange in all of crypto, because not only are you getting access to the liquidity on the L1X native chain, but now you're able to tap in to literally all the liquidity on all the chains, which is essentially 80% of all the TVL and all of crypto. So we could get in a situation where this is a true market disruptor, where the adoption and the volume just naturally flows to L1X because of how easy it is. Again, I know a lot of us are frustrated having to change RPCs. Bridging is very expensive. It takes a long time, and with L1X, all of that is eliminated. And Macho, really fast, brother, can you give the example of what you've been able to do on the testnet, transferring USD, I believe it was USDT on Avalanche to USDC on Polygon. So yeah, can you just give them that hard example?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll probably start with, because I saw a question, I think it was from David there as well, about the interoperability. And so at the moment, I'd say the two biggest players are Cosmos and Polkadot when you think interoperability, especially in terms of market cap. So when you look at Polkadot, they use Parachain, which is, it's almost like a closed community of chains that they've developed that can speak to each other. When they go outside to other chains, then they have to use bridges. With Cosmos, they use IBC, which is a program that allows the transfer of assets. Now, with Cosmos, they're interoperable with assets. When you go across to other chains, so certain other chains, yes, you still have the bridge. However, with Cosmos, if it's on IBC, yes, you can transfer. However, you can only transfer assets. Cosmos IBC is built to transfer assets and not just assets and not logic. And what AJ is talking about there is that what we will enable smart contracts to do is a smart contract on this chain can have a conversation with a smart contract on that chain, where it can say, hey, I'm over here. If you do this, let me know, and then I'll come over and then tap into whatever that utility is. So it means that it really is the dawn of cross-chain collaboration between applications. And I think whereas blockchains have been built in silos, and you've had to choose, do I go to this one? Even as a developer, do I go to Ethereum for the users, or do I go to Matic for the cheap fees, or do I go to, you've had to choose that. And one of the basic principles when we're developing Layer 1X is that all users and developers should have access to all chains. And it sounds simple, right? It sounds like it should be delivered. It's common sense. However, it's not the case. So with interoperability of assets and logic, then the innovation that can be created from that could be astounding. And so the video that AJ's and all of this, the DEX. So when we're extremely happy that AJ and the EMP team and Jake and the DexFinance team have decided to take on this DEX, because we couldn't imagine a harder working and more innovative combination to be able to build this DEX. The video that AJ is talking about, we've got a video out there where you can, where we show on the testnet where you can send USDT, I believe it is from Matic and then turn that into USDC on AVAX. So send it between two wallets. And then I think all up from opening MetaMask to the assets being the USDC being an AVAX, it took about 50 seconds and cost about 2 cents. We did then compare that to Stargate Finance, which is Layer Zero's bridging option, and it cost 28 cents, so 14 times more, and it took 22 minutes. And so the implications of 22 minutes when you're trying to, let's say, transact something, whether you're buying a coffee or whether you're trying to make, you're trying to send something to make a trade, it's just not viable. The one thing, and I can't give too much detail here, but we will be announcing next week that a world first in interoperability. So stay tuned. I can't say too much of that, but in the coming days, we'll be on Friday. We did something that no other chain has ever been able to do before.
Okay, very exciting. Maybe again, wrapping my head around this and what all you guys are doing, could you maybe explain to my audience and myself as either a user or a project developer, so how do we have to build on layer 1 in order to take advantage of this? Or, our existing, we're all in EMP and all these other projects. Are we going to be able to use this? Or can you kind of explain how this is going to change our life as either an investor or a project developer?
Yeah, so you can. This is the great thing with Kevin Coutinho, the founder. He actually started developing when he was a kid. I think he was 8 years old. And so he's always had the developer front of mind. In fact, he's had the user front of mind, but creating features where the developer can build around the user. So when you look at Layer 1X, what we do in terms of projects and developers is that you can build using Rust or JavaScript on Layer 1X. However, our virtual machine is also EVM compatible. So let's say you've got an existing project on an EVM chain, whether it be Binance, Matic, AVAX, ETH, any of those chains. If you want to tap into and leverage the features of the interoperability, the scalability. You can do that. It's really just changing a few lines of code, pointing towards layer 1x RPC, and now you can leverage you can leverage all those features from the platform. You still we're MetaMask compatible as well, so you'll still be able to make exchanges cross chain using layer 1x. So there's that advantage where you don't actually have to be on layer 1x to utilize that interoperability of layer 1x, so you can still actually use that as well. And there's a few that there's a few different things that we provide developers, but also from the usability standpoint, that's another thing what I like about EMP and DexFinance with the usability, because and I know, and Jake can talk on this a bit more in terms of bringing a user-friendly interface and user-friendly experience to the DEX by leveraging what the features below layer 1x. And this, maybe Jake, if you want, maybe and I know there's something, and DexFinance is probably a really perfect example of bringing usability to a project in terms from the user. Maybe Jake, you want to maybe talk about some of the usability features on the DEX itself, and I think the DEX is a great example of what a project can do when leveraging the features.
Yeah, of course. Let me jump in here. I probably have an interesting perspective from actually both the user side and the project side. Heavy user in crypto and heavy builder of crypto projects. A lot of big words, interoperability, and some of the things we're talking about are maybe not clear, but there's a reason why centralized crypto exchanges outweigh the decentralized exchanges on an enormous scale, even after we've seen major collapses from Luna and FTX and one after another, right? The problem is this huge barrier to entry, right? You have to know even how to get on one of these side chains. You have to be able to remember what your 12 phrase password is, right? And then even after you get to the finally this point where you're kind of understanding things, then you have to be able to not send your money into the ether. I mean, everyone here had lost some kind of money, right, by trying to send BNB native to from a centralized exchange into ETH chain or AVAX, right? So this barrier to entry, from a user perspective, is really big in my opinion. What layer 1x does is essentially, and what we're building on it from the project's perspective is basically we can do all that stuff behind the scenes, right? We can create a DEX now that has the kind of the functionality, the UI and the UX of kind of gasless transactions, MEV bot protection, all the cool stuff that everyone fell in love with like FTX with draggable limit orders and stop orders and the account management of a centralized exchange, but all built on a decentralized platform. This means that from a user's perspective, all you have to do is go and sign on. If you're a normie, you don't need to have all your passwords in wallets, 8 different wallets for different chains, right? You just go, you sign up, and you get started, right? You don't have any risk of losing your funds because it's all on the same chain, right? It all works together, it all talks together. And if you want to move out, if you want to go to Polygon or AVAX, one of the other chains, right? You can do so freely, and then you get into the little more hairier, deeper weeds of DeFi, right? But within the system, everything's kind of done for you. And from a protocols perspective, that's what's really interesting to me. We actually had started to work on our own exchange, following our money market protocol, and there's some things out there, but nothing was really quite like what we envisioned. And honestly, we were thinking about solutions to try to fix some of these problems, right? How do you make it so that a user can go on here, doesn't have to know what the difference between AVAX native chain and AVAX C chain is, and still be able to trade without losing money, having high slippage, all these problems that can cost you a shirt, right? We were honestly going to kind of cheat it with, routers like Paraswap and, things like that, right? But what L1X now is offering is, gives us the opportunity to build on is an actual native solution that does that all on the same chain at a very low cost to to investors, to users. And honestly, the exchange is just kind of the first step. Honestly, we encourage other project owners to reach out. I know Machu's got a fairly sizable fund for grant money for new projects coming over. Really, it's not, like I said, it's not just the DEX. It opens up a whole new range of possibilities. Things that imagine a world where bridges are not needed anymore, right? So what does that open up, right? Where else can you go with that, right? I've used the example of from a project owner's perspective, I have about 5 or 6 different multi-signature safes, right? Because they have to be on each chain. They have to have multi-signers for each chain. Things like that. We're going to need infrastructure. We need, you could potentially have one multi-sig for every chain now. And that's just one of 1,000, examples.
Okay. No, I love this. This actually hits really close to home for me because I've been doing Warbots, you guys know, has been a project I've been working on. Originally, we did it on BSC, but then we wanted people to mint with their credit card, and that required Polygon. So now we have all these people who have to bridge over to Polygon to mint the NFT, and then I have to bridge it all back to BSC in order to send it to Bybit. And, when I was just doing bridging with 1,000 or 2,000, that makes you nervous enough. But when I'm sending 100,000 over a bridge and I'm sitting there waiting for it, it says it can take 3 to 30 minutes. And I'm just sitting there kind of watching it and like, oh, I hope that this makes it okay. This hits close to home. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. And we're talking, Matthew, about working this into some of my projects as well once mainnet's released. So really excited for that.
Yeah. I think there's a few things, and we'll talk offline. But there's a couple of things we're working on now that I think you'll be extremely excited about in terms of the NFT space. With that, it'll be bigger than that coffee mug. Put it that way.
Yeah. I know people are talking about how it's not that big.
That thing is
and look,
huge.
on this side it says James.
Yeah.
You can tell I'm a messy coffee drinker too. I don't know if you can see that.
That's a bucket. That's a bucket with a handle on it.
That's right. I say a lot of kids, you need a lot of coffee. That's how it works.
Yeah. But I think with what Jake's, and this is the one thing that we really are so happy that EMP and DexFinance has done that. When you look at both of those ecosystems and the innovations that they've built on top of the traditional Seigniorage project, right? Toon came out with the original, but what EMP and what DexFinance have done on top of those innovations has just showed us that not only these guys work, they work so hard, but they're also so innovative enough to be able to build on that idea and really create something. You look at the detonator, for example. You look at DEX vaults, for example. So that sort of those are the minds that are now collaborating to build the DEX on the L1X, and we couldn't be happier.
Totally. And to elaborate real fast, James, so we can move on to the next topic. But yeah, to Machu's point, and again, why we brought DexFinance into the fold, so to speak, is because they are truly innovative. And a lot of the tech that we have built, again, Machu mentioned our detonator as a service, but also the DEX vaults that DexFinance has built, they are going to be built directly into the exchange. And this is massive because what DEX vaults are, and again, Jake can elaborate on this, but the high-level overview is they're combining the auto balancer of Beefy with the rebalancing of multiple LPs within one pool of balancer. And so by combining both of those, imagine being able to have that capability on multiple chains. So now you have, again, LP of native Ethereum, LP of native BNB, LP of native AVAX, all in one vault that is then not only rebalancing, but also auto compounding. I mean, again, the capital efficiency that this can provide is something that we have never seen in crypto to date. And again, I know we come across as maybe a little hype or FOMO, but it's just because I'm so passionate about what this means for the future of crypto, for sure. So
I love when the discussion starts getting a little nerdy.
yes, totally.
This is right up my angle, right up my lane. Yeah, I mean, you're completely right. That's just one example of the benefits to be able to do this all on one system. Right now it's by chain, and we're even using the tools available now, really pushing the limits, of what's possible by having even just different farms from different exchanges. Cross-chain migrations and stuff, but again through bridges which have that that tech factor. But yeah, again, the L1X tech is really opens up a lot of new doors. Being able to have all those native pairs on their own chain is not only just a really cool thing, but also provides that deep liquidity that you may want from chain A or chain B or chain C all in the same vault. Whereas, you might want to pair a certain LP, but, on Phantom or, on AVAX, the liquidity is just not there. Another thing we were kind of joking about behind the scenes, but, we have a balancer style ETF kind of thing. We were just thinking like, how cool would it be to have, right now, again, it's just all like our we have a BT, a mega cap maxi, which is like, Ethereum, BNB, and ETH. And basically, it's all pegged on Binance, right? But you could in fact have those actual native assets. You could have right now we have a burn feature where you can burn to a single asset, right? But like, how cool would it be to have, eight assets inside this ETF, and then all at once do a multi-transaction transactional burn where, the receipt token gets burned and you wind up with 8 different native assets on those chains at the same time. Very cool stuff.
Love it. And Ian, I like this. He says, clicking like destroys bridges. Let's solve the bridge issue. Click like. Ian, you should be a YouTuber. That's a really good pitch that you have there.
I love it.
One question I wanted to ask before, I'd like to talk about how the DEX affects EMP and DEX holders, because I know we got a lot of those here. Before that, though, I was wondering, what's the relationship going to be like I posted something about Matic earlier today, and I got swarmed by AVAX people saying, why are you talking about Matic? Why are you talking about Matic? Are people do you feel like the other chains are going to see you guys as a threat, or are they going to be working with you? Or what's been your experience as you've been interacting with other chains?
Yeah, so Mantra, I'll let you go hard on this, but it's funny you bring this up, James, because Mantra and I had an AMA on our own channel, and I made a joke, that said L1X will be the chain to rule them all, the one chain to rule them all. Again, just like Lord of the Rings. But Mantra said, actually, AJ, no, brother, that's not the case. We're going to be uniting all the chains, and for me, that was such a mind-blowing statement, because Master's 100% right. It's not about competition. It's about actually uniting all the chains and bridging, again, without bridges, but bridging that capital efficiency within the chains, which again, from a development standpoint, imagine, and Master made this point earlier, you had to choose to build on a layer 2 because of the fees. Well, imagine if that was never a barrier to entry, and now you have the access to all the ETH whales and all the capital on Ethereum, and build on whatever chain that you want to build on. So yeah, go ahead, Masher. I'm sure you can elaborate more, but that's a really good question for sure.
Yeah, and that is the philosophy for us, is to, it starts with that basic design principle of allowing users access to all chains, but also developers. And that's why Kevin and the team work so hard to introduce the logic portion of interoperability, is because it really does open up a dawn of cross-chain collaboration where a Matic application, if they see an advantage to collaborate with an AVAX application via smart contracts, Now they can do that, and what AJ's talking about with the 80% of TVL is that the 8 chains that we currently interoperate with are ETH, Binance, AVAX, Matic, Arbitrum, Optimism, Phantom, and Solana. We've chosen those 8 chains because those 8 chains hold 80% of all TVL across all chains. But as we continue to build out, we'll continue to add chains where we see the users, and to be able to connect those users into that network. And so we really see that this is an opportunity to connect those chains. This is an opportunity for those chains to be able to collaborate with each other. This is an opportunity for users to be able to go in and out of all those chains in a safer, much more efficient and cheaper way.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick too, if I can. It's also kind of important to understand how this whole process works. The removal of the bridges is paramount, right? It's huge. You're eliminating that attack vector, but it's not magic, right? So the chains talk to each other, right? But there has to be the other side, right? There has to be liquidity on ETH to be able to send to trade with ETH tokens, right? So what that does is we'll have our own sources of liquidity, but we don't want to just give Trader Joe the Heisman, right? We want to bring them into the fold and use all that liquidity, so we have that deep backing behind us. And those partnerships will be paramount moving forward.
Totally. Yeah. And again, just to give another hard real world example, I know a lot of us are fans of Hydro Whales. They're an NFT project. They're big time fans of the channel, James. And and this doesn't apply to just them, it applies to all ETH NFT projects. They're getting to a point where the fees on ETH alone are becoming so high that the rewards are not worth claiming from the ETH fees. So imagine having the ability to reward NFT holders on a different chain or on L1X natively for a 1 cent transaction gas fee. I mean, that again is just mind blowing. And because of the interoperability of the logic itself, all of that is absolutely possible with L1X for sure.
And in terms of, I'll just add on to that, in terms of the usability from the user's perspective, when interacting with multiple chains, that's why we've designed the L1X wallet, where that wallet will be able to hold tokens from any chain that L1X is interoperable with. So you can have your ETH, your BNB, you can have your AVAX, your Matic, all within that one wallet. You can go between, and this will be connected to the DEX as well, but you'll be able to go between chains. But also what we're developing within the wallet is that you'll be able to transact on AVAX, Matic, ETH, Solana with one token. So you don't have to have BNB for Binance chain. You don't have to have then some ETH for ETH. I don't know if any of you, if you've ever sent USDC to ETH to buy something, but you didn't have any ETH, So now you're like, okay, now I've got to find some ETH. I've got to go back and get. You won't have to worry about that again. And whereby, let's say even if you just want to transact on Ethereum with Ethereum tokens within the L1X wallet, you can still just do it with L1X with the L1X token. So it just it breaks down the complexity for the user, makes it a lot more easier to use. If you're on Ethereum, you'll still be paying the ETH gas fee level, but you'll be able to do it with the L1X token. It's trying to simplify it in a way where we can bring in mass adoption. We can actually have the user, because we all know that learning curve is so steep with crypto. It's so steep, and trying to reduce that learning curve. And this is what I love about EMP and DexFinance, taking that user first approach, so it does become simple. It's a lot easier to do, and we're trying to bring those features into L1X as well, so the user can actually participate not only safely within crypto and blockchain, but also in a much more simpler way.
Awesome. I love this. I love AMAs like this, because I could probably turn off my camera and peace out and just be like, hey, you guys take over. You guys, you have the answers. This is awesome. Also, irony, my alarm just went off to check the reactor on EMP because we're getting close to that time.
Yes,
So,
brother, the rollover. Yeah, don't forget the compound, right? Oh, I love it,
yeah,
James. Yeah,
yep, go
100%,
ahead.
man.
Don't forget to
Yeah, well, and again, bro, this may come across as, something that is too good to be true, or some major claims. But again, the three of us have been working behind the scenes for months. And that's another big difference. We see a lot of layer ones make large promises, or again, they raise funds before they've even built the chain. There is no testnet. It's all vaporware. Well, at L1X, they've been building for 2 years or 2.5 years behind the scenes to pull this off, and now we're just coming to market with it. Again, we can go down 100 different avenues of this AMA, but Macho, you just want to comment real fast on, again, we talked about scalability, we talked about the adoption, but you want to talk about the speed and the security of L1X. I think that's the trilemma that L1X has solved for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, we talk and the conversation always does lean towards interoperability because it is probably the kind of the jewel in there, but it's the easiest one to see the advantages of. But when you combine the scalability, security, and decentralization to that, that's when you start to really see that power. We actually call those four components. So you've got the blockchain trilemma, which is the decentralization, security, and scalability. We actually call it the blockchain quartet, where the interoperability is the fourth component. And just like a quartet, each of them might make nice music by themselves, but combine them together, that's when they might make magic, right? So in terms of the scalability, some of the features that we have, I mentioned before that we have an upper bound on the transaction fees. I mean, you'll never pay more than 1 cent base transaction fee through our consensus mechanism. And so that allows, those cross-chain transfers when you're still paying those gas fees. If you go EVM to EVM on a cross-chain transfer, you pay the source gas fee. So if you're going from AVAX to Matic, you'll pay AVAX gas fee. But now you can do it safely, quickly, more efficient, and cheaper because all L1X does is has their 1 cent on top of that to make that transaction happen. So that's one part of the scalability. Another part is where we're already at 100,000 transactions per second, and we're a block creation time of half a second. So what does that mean, right? So when we're built for mass adoption, not just in DeFi and crypto, but also other use cases as well. So to be able to bring that mass adoption on, you've got to have the ability to be able to still perform in a seamless way, even though there's millions of users using your platform at the same time. In terms of creating a block quickly, the time between the transaction being initiated and it being finalized, that gap there, the shorter that gap, the less chance there is for exploit and someone to be able to do something within that time frame. So having quick finality also adds security to the platform as well. And another innovation that we're doing with our consensus mechanism is we have the traditional full nodes, but it's a hybrid consensus mechanism where the full nodes you have the proof of stake, traditional proof of stake setup where you can stake your L1X coin on the full nodes to be able to be rewarded. But what we do is when the transaction comes through to the full node, after it's been initiated, then the validation actually happens with smart devices. So that means your mobile phone, your smartwatch, anything with that sort of chipset in it can be a validator. So in terms of security and decentralization, it means that we have the ability to have hundreds of thousands, millions, up to billions of validators securing the network and decentralizing it through that validation process. So that's also another innovative part as well that we do. One last thing with security. Now, this is a mouthful, this one, but we use hierarchical temporal memory, right? Which
Ooh,
I'm just going to call it HTM, right? Basically, it's I'm let me try to explain it in a very, very simple way. It basically it's a machine learning algorithm that allows it to predict or see anomalies within the consensus mechanism, so it can pick up maybe a bad acting full node before it actually does anything, before it takes action. And we'll be the very first blockchain to incorporate that into our consensus mechanism to add that to our security layer, which has never been done before as well.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, if there's something new I can learn from this. I've not heard of that type of security being done before, so I can look into that. No, a couple more things I want to get through, and then audience, I will get to your questions. These are some great questions. Wanna get through these. I was wondering. I know we have a lot of EMP people here and a lot of DexFinance people. What does this mean for EMP and for DexFinance? Like, what does that mean for holders?
Totally. So I'll take this one, and Jake, feel free to iterate here. But yeah, I mean, there's the long story short is that it's bullish for EMP community and DEX community as well. But yeah, by being awarded the launch DEX contract to be able to build this, we will actually have equity in the DEX, and we can talk about that a little bit too. So the whole idea with the DEX, and again, I don't want to speak for Machu and L1X, but part of the reason why I think they were attracted to our proposal is that we are planning on launching this DEX with having the L1X token as the native token of the DEX as well. So typically on, again, just to use PancakeSwap as an example, you have the cake token, and that is a secondary token that is very highly inflationary, very speculative. PancakeSwap uses some of their DEX fees to buy and burn that token, but it's very inefficient in the way it's rewarded. So with our exchange, again, that we're building, both EMP and DexFinance, as well as the support from L1X themselves, their engineers, we will be having L1X as the native asset, which means just by staking or providing liquidity on L1X, you're then able to share in the real revenue of the DEX. So again, rewards from the volume and the transaction fees are distributed directly to those participants, and this is very, very much more efficient. There's not, again, a lot of speculation involved, and it's very beneficial to the L1X token because it will again, add an immediate use case for the L1X on top of being the gas token. People are more. It's more lucrative to provide liquidity or stake the L1X than it is to sell it. So that is, again, a major benefit and something very different. And so, yeah, even, I mean, just to put hard numbers behind it, PancakeSwap does about $400,000 a day in fees, and Uniswap does $4 million a day in fees. So even if we were able to get a small market share of those DEXs, which again, I think we're going to be able to get a large percentage of the market share just because we're able to offer so much more to the user at rock bottom prices. The adoption will follow, and so those fees will then be, again, not only rewarded to participants of the DEX, but also, a small percentage to EMP and DexFinance as well. But even a small percentage could be tens of thousands of dollars a day into our ecosystem, which again will support everything that we're doing. So yeah.
Okay, Jake, anything you want to add to that? I feel that was pretty good for me. Anything you want to add, Jake?
No, that was well said. I mean, if anything, just to reiterate, that we're, anybody who's familiar with either of our protocols knows that, we are really trying to move away from Ponzi-nomics and inflation and really focus on the real yield narrative. We're already starting to do that already. None of our core values changes in this. The people that have stuck with us will still be receiving, revenue from this venture. We are. I would like to consider myself a SaaS provider and not, a token issuer, right? So, that all that still stands. We're trying to build real sustainable products that funnel down into our holders.
Totally. And again, just to reiterate that too, Jake and I have a very similar mindset and that's why we've had such a great working relationship. Is that we do focus on real yield, and we want to simplify our protocols, not make them more complicated. So again, through this real revenue, and again, I don't want to speak for Jake, but if we see the sort of volume that we think we're going to see, it could literally 100x the revenue that EMP is able to generate through its own treasury right now, and does wonders for Peg and Detonator and Reactor and all of our systems that are in place. So we're definitely not abandoning each of our individual projects, but we are putting a full-time effort into L1X, and that is our number one goal to pull off this DEX over the next few months for sure.
Okay. Well, before we get too far into this, I say 50 minutes into our talk. But I know a lot of people, their only question, they're watching and they're listening. They go, yeah, great, great, great. How do I make money? That's people's number one question. Do you want to talk through the pre-sale, what is involved with that, and just some of the details of that?
For sure. You want me to go, Madru, or would you want to, again,
Yeah,
yeah.
let me talk on it. But
Go ahead, brother.
as you can see, I think you're showing on screen, James, you've got the pre-sale link there. People can go in and get involved in the private sale. So normally when you have a crypto project launch or a blockchain project launch, you'll have a private sale, and then you'll have a public sale, and then it'll launch. And normally in that private sale is only restricted, well, normally only mostly reserved for VCs. So that's when the VCs get in. And unfortunately, you'll have the VCs get in at the private sale, retail will get in at the public sale, or the smaller investor will get in the public sale, and then bang, the VC dumps on everybody when it launches. And we just wanted to avoid that. We're here for mass adoption, mass use case, with the user at the center of it. So what we would like to do is we want to give people, just the everyday person, the everyday crypto user and blockchain enthusiast, an opportunity to get in at this level, the private sale level. And so that private sale level has a token price of 10 cents in the private sale. The private sale tokens are vested. They're from launch, they're vested for 15 months with an equal part per month. So 1/15 of the tokens that you've invested in will be released every month for 15 months. Now, why the vesting is there is it also supports the ecosystem by not allowing people just to dump those tokens as well. It vests out as the ecosystem grows. Now, in reference point to the opportunity that people have now for the private sale at 10 cents is that when we go to launch, the public sale will be 50 cents. And so just that reference point between 10 cents and 50 cents, you can see the opportunity to be able to get in now at a private sale level. But the opportunity is limited. We do have a cap, a $5 million cap on that. We also have a time frame. So we are leaving the private sale open for people to be able to, for the everyday person to be able to have an opportunity to invest. However, we will be closing this private sale off. We can't leave it open forever. We do have plenty of whales that want to gobble it all up. We've been offered the 10 million we're raising. We've been offered by multiple parties for the whole 10 million. But it's our decision to give people the opportunity first. And then if there's anything remaining, that's when the whales can have their share. AJ, do you want to add to any of that, mate? Did I cover most of that?
Yeah, absolutely, brother. So again, considering our relationship, EMP was doing a whitelist sale on L1X to begin with, and that's through that sale is running congruently with our pre-sale, but that is more so for traditional investors through fiat, or there is an entire KYC process that's involved with that directly. Well, with our pre-sale, again, because of our relationship, we've been able to secure up to $5 million worth of tokens. We had a soft cap of 2.5 million, but again, L1X has removed that and guaranteed those tokens to us. So everybody going into this pre-sale will get their tokens. And another major bonus by going through our pre-sale, again, DexFinance and EMP are running this pre-sale together. You're able to avoid the KYC, and we're able to do that in a very compliant way as well. So EMP has an offshore trust that we have as our operating entity of our protocol, and so we're able to accept these funds on behalf of everybody. We then KYC with L1X directly, so then everything is compliant, and then L1X distributes those tokens to EMP, and then we distribute to all of you that go into the pre-sale. So, and all this is done trustlessly through a series of smart contracts. So again, if you're wanting to use crypto, our pre-sale is the easiest. And again, avoiding that. If you want to use dirty fiat, you can go to L1X directly. So, but yeah, and again, we are running this congruently, so there may be a situation where we have to end the pre-sale a little bit early because there's only $10 million worth of tokens available. But to Machu's point, it is $100 minimum investment and a $50,000 maximum investment. And we are monitoring wallets to see any linked wallets that may try to invest more than that 50K. And if you want to invest more than 50K, you have to contact us directly. So again, to Machu's point, the idea is that we're trying to decentralize the ownership of the tokens to begin with. Because again, I mean, we've seen it in a lot of other layer twos, Phantom, for instance, that was almost solely funded by venture capitalists. And once the chain launched, there was a ton of volatility of people trying to dump their tokens because venture capitalists want to make money. That's what they're here to do. So we really want to put the tokens in the hands of the users to be able to scale as L1X grows.
Can I just say too, just to give you guys a little background,
for sure.
True story. The way that this all kind of came up, or the way I got involved anyway, I got a little wind of this blockchain idea several months ago, and I personally reached out to AJ, said, "Hey, how do I get into this, and how do I get around the KYC, because I don't want to do that."
Totally.
And so we're not mattress salesmen. Myself and AJ are both personally invested in this project, so we're not trying to swing you, but we're putting our money where our mouth is.
Totally. And again, just to put some numbers behind it, I mean, we have invested nothing irresponsible, but we have invested some EMP treasury money into this as well. And just based on historical data, I know a lot of us are used to aping into the degen protocols, and we see that pump and dump, and it's game over. Well, historically speaking, every layer 1 or layer 2 blockchain has done an average of a 42x from the launch price. That doesn't even include the pre-sale price that we're offering today. So again, the upside potential is massive, and this is not a call to invest. Everybody, please do their own research. Never invest more than you're willing to lose. There is a lot of milestones that we need to deliver on, but I personally have seen the code. Again, if you join the L1X Discord, and correct me if I'm wrong, Machu, but they're able to play on the testnet today, correct?
Yeah, that's right. You can jump on the testnet. You can play around with swaps. You can token creation, NFT creation. You can have a really good play around there. And we'll continue to build out features on that so you can actually see it working. And this is where I think that's the big thing, is people will be skeptical at claims, right? And fair enough too. Good, be skeptical, because there's a lot of reason to be skeptical within the blockchain space, in the crypto space. So that's why we want to be able to deliver the proof of concept, for you to be able to actually use that and see the interoperability and see the speed and the fees, and just so it's real.
Okay, very good. No, I love it. This sounds great. I put a link to the Discord again. When we talk about calls to action, hop in the Discord, become part of the community, and get your questions answered there. Get to know the community, see if it's something that you like. We do have a whole bunch of audience questions. Do you guys have anything else that you kind of want to share before some of these audience questions? Might touch on some of it, but do you have any other really big things before we start getting to some audience questions?
I think we did a
No.
pretty good job covering it,
Yeah.
Manchu. Anything from your end? Again, this is we've done again. I get my community knows I've done about 15 AMAs in the last 7 days. So, but we brought out the big guns today, getting Manchu and Jake here with you. So I hope you feel special, James. Only the
Yeah.
best for you, brother. Yeah.
Look, and I think the honest answer is yes, we could continue to go on for hours, but I think
Yeah, that's true.
what we've found is that we've probably given people enough and to not try and overwhelm them as well. Yeah.
Nope,
Yeah,
that's
but
smart.
happy to go over some questions. We got time, so absolutely, brother. Yeah.
Okay, let's bring up some of these. I was just reminded too of I pulled up my not financial advice banner when you were talking. Right above it, I have "Don't sell EMP." So
I love it.
just
There
a
you
reminder.
go. Yes,
Just a
James.
reminder.
Absolutely, brother.
Okay, so might be the wrong place to ask. No, never. This is always the right place to ask. But is there a utility token for layer one? Yes. And if so, how inflationary will it be? Do you want to talk maybe a little bit about the tokenomics? And people are used to seeing, like you said, Cake was a great example of, oh yes, we got a bunch of Cake tokens, and now they're worth 1/100th of what they were worth. Do you want to talk a little bit about the tokenomics?
Absolutely. I think that's a really good question as well. So the L1X token is a utility token. So classified, we've actually, we spent a lot of time securing MME Law, which is based out of Switzerland. They're the same company that set up the Ethereum Foundation, and they've helped us set up the L1X Foundation. And so we have the classification is a utility token, not a security token. So, and then how the tokenomics works, and this is another thing, we went to great lengths to secure the services of Prism Group to do our tokenomics, and they're world renowned for tokenomics with layer one blockchains. And so the tokenomics, the platform itself is built for mass use case and mass adoption. So the tokenomics really needed to reflect that. So a few things about the tokenomics. One, the total vesting of the token of the token. So I think it's the growth pool potentially. That vests out for 30 years, right? So not the investment, that's only 15 months for the private sale, but it vests out for such a long time, which is longer than normal. And the reason is because what that does, it allows to smooth out the inflation on the tokenomics to not have, it like a hockey stick in terms of token release. Also, with the tokenomics, 55% of the tokens are allocated to like a treasury pool, which is broken into 6 different categories: growth pool, community pool, validation pool. All of those categories, those 6 categories, represent in some way the development or the sustainability of the project. That's where those tokens will be allocated. In terms of the deflationary or inflationary, I think the question said, with the transaction fees when they come through, they're distributed in 3 different ways. 50% of the transaction fees are distributed to the full nodes to reward people participating in the network by staking L1X tokens on the full nodes. That will automatically give the L1X token value in itself and utility by staking. However, 25% of the transaction fees actually come through to the foundation, where they'll either be reinvested for development or they will be burnt. So that adds a deflationary mechanism into the token as well. So if you're talking about is there an inflation on the token? The only inflation on the token, it's a hard cap of 1 billion. The only inflation is just the release schedule. However, that can be offset by the burning mechanism through the transaction fees, 25% of all transaction fees going through to the foundation as well.
Okay. Nope. Great answer. Let's talk about that. This is the most popular question, I would say, in all of crypto. When? What's the ETA for the chain? What's the ETA for the DEX? I do have the roadmap up here if that's helpful for people to see. I'll bring that up. But you guys want to just talk about some potential dates? Everyone has to understand in development, dates are in flux. I mean, that's just the way that it works. But do you want to talk a little bit about wins?
Yeah. So, well, look, the exciting part with the DEX is that the DEX will be operational on mainnet launch for L1X, and it will be our launch DEX. So, look, mainnet for us will be August. We're actually on track to have it all done by July. However, we've gone with August just so everyone in the Northern Hemisphere is back from holidays and they're in front of their computers ready to buy. So August will be mainnet launch, and then in conjunction with the L1X launch will also be the DEX launch as well.
Okay, very good.
Yes, and we are already well underway. Again, that was another reason why we brought DexFinance on board. Like Jake had said earlier in the AMA, they're already about halfway through development of this DEX. So, you know, we were interviewing a lot of other parties. Again, I have a personal relationship with Jake. We work very well together. And so when we presented it to the L1X team, that's when they said, man, this could be the real deal. So yeah, we're super excited for that. We're well ahead of schedule in terms of the DEX, and we get to leverage the engineers from L1X themselves. So we have a massive development team working on this to not only bring it to market on literally day one when the chain launches, but also make it, you know, everything that we hope it will be and design it to be. And there is a separate channel on the L1X Discord for the DEX specifically. So if you want to learn about updates, we will be releasing, again, we're trying to get through all the AMAs and our initial raise for L1X. But after that, we will be releasing the name of the DEX, again, all the socials around that exchange, and it'll be its own entity that we continue to promote and build out. So stay tuned for that for sure.
And just to add to that, I remember a conversation that we had some time back with myself, Mike Stewart, who is the Chief Strategy Officer at Layer 1X, and Jake from DexFinance. And there was a very first conversation we had with Jake, and we were talking about Layer 1X, and he was talking about the features that he was looking for, and he was wanting to do already in his concept of his DEX that he was building out. And we were just, I mean, I remember getting off the phone call with Mike Stewart going, wow, we need that to be ours. You know, we need that on L1X. And so we were really excited after that the conversation with AJ, but also the conversation with Jake was just, that was a real clincher for us to go, well, these guys are the right guys to do it.
Thank you, Maju. You know, just to follow up, you know, these guys have done really the heavy lifting, building the blockchain. We've already, as AJ mentioned, we're already in development of this. So there's a good chance you guys, you'll see some sneak peeks and maybe a little taste of it beforehand.
Okay, love it. We talked about this already, but I thought maybe having it in one succinct spot here. What happens for existing projects that are on BSC Ethereum that want to come over to Layer 1X? Do they need to rebuild their project on Layer 1?
And that's a beautiful thing about Layer 1X, and coming from not only the user perspective, but from the developer perspective as well. As both BSC and Ethereum are EVM compatible chains. And so while you build with Rust and JavaScript on Layer 1X, we're also, our virtual machine is also EVM compatible. So any existing EVM application or compatible application built in Solidity, we'll just need to change a few lines of code, and automatically you will be an L1X protocol leveraging all of the features of interoperability, decentralization, scalability, and security, tapping into all those chains we're interoperable with.
Totally.
Okay.
And I don't think, again, not to interrupt you here, James, I don't think people understand how powerful that is. I mean, again, I've been a big outspoken person on, we don't need another copy and paste chain, you know, and L1X solves all of that in the tech. But also, even if you have the most badass blockchain on the planet, if nobody is building on it, then it really doesn't matter. Well, again, because you're only, you know, before L1X, you had to literally migrate your entire smart contract, or you had to start over. You had to literally relaunch your protocol to be able to interact with that new chain? Well, again, from what Master just said, it's literally, you know, 1 or 2 lines of code that makes it interoperable, again, with Solidity or REST-based chains and code framework. So that is going to do wonders for adoption and really make it super simple for you know, developers to want to integrate with L1X.
Okay, awesome. And when will a usable prototype be live? And the testnet's going right now. Is that correct? We have this L1X
That's it.
testnet.com
That's
blocks
it.
going already. So I mean, there's a usable prototype live. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, 100%. And we encourage people to go in there and have a play around with it. And now, as we continue to add features, you'll be able to play around in the testnet with those features as well as we continue to build out prior to launch. So yeah, we do encourage people to go in there and have a play around.
Totally. And again, just from a personal perspective, that's really what sold me on this. I mean, again, I've been in crypto for about 7.5 years now, and I can count on one hand the amount of opportunities I've had in terms of a launch of a layer 1 or a layer 2. And all of those launches never had a working testnet prior to launch. So again, I don't want to understate how powerful that is in really delivering on the massive claims that L1X is making. And again, Machu, I love you, brother. So having the proof in the pudding is a massive step forward, even outside of our personal relationship, for sure.
Yeah, and I'll say there are some chains that I'm still waiting for a prototype to be built. I won't mention any names in this
Yes,
AMA at least, but
totally.
I'm still waiting.
You and me both. You and me both, James. One
Look, I
day,
think we're
brother.
all on
One
the
day.
pulse. We're all on the pulse.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, there you go. Exactly, Machu.
I thought this was worth asking. I got 2 more questions, then we'll let you guys go. I know you guys have been crazy. I don't usually like to go over an hour, but there was enough education here and everything. What is the big difference with Thorchain? Okay, and just so the audience understands, Thor Financial has nothing to do with Thorchain. But when I think of like this sounds like similar to what Thorchain was trying to do. I don't know. Are you guys very familiar with Thorchain, and what would you kind of see as the main differences?
Yeah, look, I think one of the main differences is that is once again the ability to transfer. And it's funny when we get a question of and we get this question all the time: are you guys like this blockchain or like this blockchain? And sometimes the characteristics of a particular component that we have are similar. So, aren't you guys like Solana in terms of scalability? Well, yeah, we're fast. We can scale, but does Solana have the interoperability? Yeah, and this is where I think the power of those 4 things, all combined, really makes the magic, right? So Thorchain, they have interoperability in terms of token transfer, but they don't have the logic. They cannot transfer logic, and it's really hard to really express the power of the ability to transfer logic cross-chain in terms of cross-chain collaboration. At the moment, because the blockchains are built in silos, the mind share is not really happening between the innovators across chain, in a way that it should be. Like you've got all the intellect stuck on Ethereum, and that's where they're working. You've got all the chads on Binance, and that's where they're working, right? But now those application developers, they can actually interact with each other and collaborate with each other cross-chain. And I think that's what I'm really excited about. And Thorchain doesn't do it. No other chain does that.
I can simplify that a little bit. Thorchain, again, kind of like what we were talking about. At first, they kind of fake it, right? They the user sees chain A to chain B, but what actually happens is 2 simultaneous transactions, right? So chain A and chain B, or chain A and chain A, and then chain B and chain B at the same time. So 2 transactions at the same time, the user ends up getting the other side, right? Whereas L1X is just 1 transaction, chain A to chain B in one foul swoop.
Okay. I would also add too, I think the Thorchain team is all non-docs. You don't know anything about the team. There's no team behind it that we know of. And so, I mean, there's pros and cons to that. So, but no, I think good question. Thanks for discussing that.
Yeah, and there's a great one last thing with that. There's an amazing infograph that the L1X team has put together. If you go to their Discord, and again, I wish I had it for you to pull up here, but it literally has a side by side of Layer Zero, Polkadot, all the main chains, and how superior L1X is in all of those aspects. So yeah, definitely take a look at that.
Okay, very good. We'll call this the last question, and then we will wrap it up. Again, if you guys have other questions, please hop in the Discord and ask those. So don't leave your questions unanswered. Hop in the Discord. I know the team. This is one thing I've noticed about teams and communities that are proud of what they're doing is they are happy to answer questions about them, because it's it's their baby. It's what they like. How do we get paid out? So once it's all live and running, these are just going to be tokens transferred to people's wallets over 15 months. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, you'll have a couple of options. There'll be an airdrop or just a claiming function that you can. So once you've associated the wallet you would like those tokens to come into, and then every month it'll be an airdrop or a claiming function where you'll be able to pull those tokens or that amount of tokens for that month into your wallet.
Okay, very good. So we'll end with that. I'm excited about this. Again, whenever I hear, a new chain's coming out, I get a little cringy. I'm like, oh, do we need another one? Like, we've already got so many. But I like when there's a new chain that's actually going to help people, helping with the bridge problem, helping with high gas fees, helping with a lot of this stuff. As a project owner myself, I'm excited. We're going to be talking on Discord about, hey, can I work this into my project? And maybe I can be, one of your test cases. We can do some cool videos about that. But I appreciate you guys building in the bear market. AJ, always appreciate you're always bringing something new to me every week. I feel like you don't sleep. You don't. You're just always
brother.
bringing something new.
Hey man, failure is not an option. And again, this was about the exchange, about L1X, but both DexFinance and EMP. I mean, we're still trying to be the leaders in terms of seniors protocols, and we have a lot in the works as well. We have something called EMP Fusion that I can't wait to do another AMA with you on in the next few weeks. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, it does not surprise me. So I'm sure. Well, we should just do a weekly AMA and you put some pressure on you to make sure there's something there.
There you go, perfect, man. Well, I'll just put you on retainer. How about that?
Yeah, there you go. That's
right,
smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much. A lot of education here. I hope this was helpful, and thank you guys, audience. Appreciate you guys so much. Again, the only reason I'm able to connect with great AJ, Jake, Machu, I mean, I'm sure they like me as a person, but it's my audience. And so I'm so thankful for you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your great questions. Appreciate it very much. So that's all I have. So I hope everybody has a great rest of their day. And thanks again so much for coming on.
Thanks.
Cheers. Thank you, everybody.
All right, take care, guys.